Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and I'm doing an MBA at London Business School. So recently, the Financial Times ranked the MBA program at London Business School at number 4 in the world. But that's not the reason why I joined LBS. In this video, I will be sharing why I chose the MBA program at London Business School over other business schools in the US and in Europe. Now, the first reason is simple: London. I have lived in New Zealand, Australia, and also spent a lot of time in New York in the US. But London has a certain energy. It's dynamic, it's fast paced, it's global. And while New York has all of these things too, what I appreciate about London is there's also this slow side. You can go for a walk by the canal, you can take your time in a city that also has a lot to offer. London and the UK also has a very strong Indian diaspora. And for me personally, I felt at home from the minute I set foot. Now, I moved to London at the end of 2019 on a working holiday visa, and I got to experience working in London as well, and I loved the work-life balance. As opposed to the US, where people often live to work, in Europe, you kind of work to live. At London, you have this opportunity to work with people who are ambitious and want to achieve big things, but also people who finish work at 6 p.m. on a Friday and are keen to go have beers and enjoy the weekend. But that is not even the main reason why I love London. London is a melting pot. You're at Europe's doorstep, and unfortunately, Brexit has made travel a little bit trickier. But you also have access to the best in theater, in movies, in music. I've had the privilege to see some of my favorite artists perform live while I've been here in London. And then I also really enjoy comedy. Something that you may not know is I do some musical comedy on the side. And I started taking improv lessons in London shortly after I moved in 2021. And then finally in 2023, I summoned the courage to hit the stage and start doing funny songs. But that's another topic for another time. The next reason is European versus American business schools. Now, I applied for several business schools in the US, but I found that there was a pressure to constantly be on. At several recruiting events where I met other students who were applying for US business schools, I felt like there was this need to constantly sell yourself. Now, it felt a bit different at European business schools. People were still impressive. They were just more relaxed and real. And the diversity at business schools like LBS and INSEAD wasn't just something on a brochure, it was something I actually felt. At LBS, I felt like I could show up as myself, a UK-born, Indian-raised New Zealander. Now, the next reason is a bit more practical. I have an unconventional background. Before the MBA, I worked on my own business. It's a direct-to-consumer yoga brand. And before that, I was working for a startup that was funded by a Russian billionaire. Now, this was before the war, when London was awash in Russian money. It was pretty commonplace for business people to be rubbing shoulders with Russian billionaires and oligarchs. But when it came to getting recommendations for business school, several of which required at least 2 recommendations, I was in a bit of a tricky spot. I could realistically only get 1 strong reference from a previous employer. And so that meant I had to focus on applying to business schools that were a bit more flexible. That means business schools that would either accept 1 recommendation letter or another recommendation letter from a non-traditional referee, such as a client. LBS fit that perfectly since they only required 1 recommendation letter. And trust me, when you're applying for multiple business schools, chasing up your referees for their letters of recommendation is the most difficult part. So sometimes your MBA choice isn't so much about strategy, it's more about constraint. So when I put it all together, the city, the culture, and my own constraints, LBS just made sense. It wasn't the best option on paper. It was the one that actually fit my life. And looking back, I'm certain I made the right choice. Not only did I develop a strong network in London, which I wasn't able to when I first moved here during COVID, I also developed some deep friendships with several people in my class. And I was also able to make it onto the dean's list. So my advice for anyone who's applying for business school is not just to pick the best ranked business school, but to choose the place where you'll actually thrive. London Business School was definitely that place for me. Now, in this channel, I share my experience at London Business School and studying an MBA. If you're interested in applying for an MBA, I would be curious to know which business schools you're considering. Let me know in the comments below. And until then, see you in the next one.